Number 10. First off, we've got something everybody can remember because it was the big craze that hit the world last year. People dressing up as scary clowns and wandering the streets. But now we're in Springfield in Jacksonville, Florida, where the clown craze started in 2014, leaving everybody else to catch up. People often blame the hype around the movie It for being a catalyst for the 2016 clowns. But that can't be the reason why they were doing it in 2014. This is a group of people who did this purely on their own accord, wearing Halloween costumes out of season and finding CCTV cameras to spook on purpose. They were doing it for attention and to terrify the neighborhood, and they succeeded. It's a wonder that none of them got shot for trespassing or beaten up in the street, especially when they show up to a bar full of people. Number 9. This is the craziest thing you're gonna see come out of McDonald's, hands down. A video surfaced of a woman named Melody Dunshane visiting her local McDonald's in Toledo on a hunt for chicken nuggets. Unfortunately for everyone involved, it was before 10:30 a.m., so they weren't serving any McNuggets. This caused her to go totally berserk, and in a matter of seconds, the situation turned into her getting out of the car and trying to climb through the drive-thru window and hit the employee inside. The manager comes over and the two members of the staff work together to get the window closed. But Dunshane keeps screaming about how much she wants chicken nuggets, and she even yells at one point, "Don't make me assume my ultimate form." And she says she's gonna rip their faces off. She even smashes the window at the end before driving off. Though luckily the police caught her.
What the fuck is this bitch on? Holy shit.
What's going on? Did she like get burned by her apple pie or something?
Dude, I have no idea. Alright, we need to call the police. This is out of control. Holy shit!
Number 8. In 2014, a 22-year-old girl named Carlesha Gaither was abducted in Philadelphia, and it was captured on camera. By all reports, Carlesha was a girl who did not deserve this at all, being an animal lover and training to be a nurse while working with cancer patients. Her abduction is harrowing to watch as a heavily built man was seen getting out of the car and coming and dragging her off into a car. But don't worry, because the story has a happy ending, as 3 days later, Carlesha was rescued from her kidnapper Delvin Barnes, who was arrested and charged. Following tons of tips from a public who wanted to do everything they could to help Carlesha come home. It's probably a good thing that CCTV was around, capturing both her abduction and Barnes using her credit card at an ATM while she was missing.
That have sparked a manhunt going on now in 2 states. They show a young woman walking alone when a man suddenly approaches her, attacks her, and drags her to his car. Whether the suspect knew it or not, it was all captured by a surveillance camera. Luckily, more clues have now presented themselves in this case. We get our report from NBC's Rahema Ellis.
This disturbing 3-minute surveillance video shows a young woman's desperate struggle.
Number 7. You might think that heists like those in video games like Grand Theft Auto 5 are crazy and highly fictionalized, but actually they're well planned out and meticulously executed events, and criminals do stuff like this in real life too. In Houston, Texas, a group of around half a dozen burglars were recorded breaking into a gun store and robbing it. They were all wearing masks and gloves and pulled down the iron gate protecting the doors by tying a rope around the bars and attaching it to the rear bumper of a pickup truck. Their entire crime takes all of 30 seconds, and they make off with at least 50 different guns, making them heavily armed and dangerous to the police who have to pursue them. It's terrifying to think that it can be this easy to commit a perfect crime like this, and police have no details on who might be responsible.
Surveillance video shows masked robbers breaking into a Houston gun store and pillaging it. At least 10 suspects could be seen tying a rope to the Carter's Country gun store door frame and using a pickup truck to pull the doors off. Minutes later, the suspects were inside the store, removing guns and ammunitions from the glass cases and racks and stuffing them into bags. Suspects stole at least 50 weapons, according to local media.
Number 6. If you thought what happened to Carlesha Gaither was freaky, wait until you see the last known footage of German tourist Lars Matank, a story which doesn't have a happy ending. Lars was on holiday in Bulgaria in 2014 with his friend when he got into a fight on the beach. resulting in him having a ruptured eardrum. He was due to fly home the next day, but doctors told him he couldn't and prescribed him with antibiotics. His friends wanted to stay with him, but he said he'd be fine, so they went back to Germany. He booked a shady room in a cheap hotel and called his mother to say that he didn't feel safe and he thought he was being followed, leading to her buying him a new plane ticket home for the next day. The footage comes as Lars is in the airport waiting to leave, when someone dressed as a construction worker comes in. When Lars sees him, he bolts, running out of the door and climbing a fence across the street, and that's the last anyone ever saw of him. Number 5. In the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago last year, a serial burglar was at large, caught on camera multiple times, but always with their face obscured. They hit the headlines when they were caught on a man's home surveillance system after his girlfriend's purse went missing, trying to determine where she'd left it. He looked through the footage, and what they saw horrified them. Someone came in through and unlocked the door, and then stared at them as they slept on the couch for a solid 10 minutes, finding time to steal the girlfriend's purse among other things when they were done with this creepy activity. The robber got the nickname the Creeper Ghost after this, and there's no word about if the police had managed to catch up with this light-fingered phantom,
who spent a total of about 10 minutes watching them. Baranskis did, however, notice that her purse was missing. McKercher reviewed his home surveillance footage and saw the intruder on video. The intruder had lurked above the couple, watching them for about 5 minutes before walking away and returning for another 5 minutes. At first, McKercher thought the intruder was his girlfriend and became confused as to why she was wearing a hoodie and creeping around the top of the stairway.
Number 4. Last November, a Texas fitness instructor named Missy Beavers was tragically found dead in the church where she taught her fitness classes. By all accounts, Missy was a much-loved mother of 3, and her murder has destroyed the lives of her friends and families. Missy arrived at the church early one morning to prepare for her 5 a.m. fitness class, and at 4:15 a.m., a suspect was caught on camera entering the church where Missy was, carrying a large hammer and dressed all in tactical gear. The police have no leads, and 2 anonymous donors are offering a combined reward of $50,000 to anyone who might have information about Missy's killer, which they believe was on purpose and premeditated, despite the killer's efforts to make the scene look like a robbery gone wrong. Number 3. Since 2013, the mysterious death of student Elisa Lam has captured the attentions of people worldwide, and nobody has a solid explanation of what happened to her. The facts are these. When some residents at her hotel reported a strange taste in the water tank was investigated and inside Elisa's body was found, naked and decomposing, after she had been missing for 19 days. The water tank was also sealed from the outside. As if it wasn't scary enough, the minutes leading up to her disappearance were all captured on hotel security cameras, and we see her appear to be tormented by an unseen assailant, cowering in an oddly behaving elevator where the doors won't close and crying. Perhaps the creepiest thing of all is that the hotel is Cecil Hotel, one of the most haunted hotels in America, and the ghosts of multiple socialites, serial killers, and murder victims are said to haunt its halls. Number 2. At a Walmart in Oklahoma 4 years ago, every parent's worst nightmare came true when a family's 2-year-old daughter was taken hostage by a man and held at knife point. The police report that the man was clearly mentally ill and incredibly paranoid, making bizarre claims like President George W. Bush was watching him and blaming the Illuminati for what he was doing. The encounter with the kidnapper and the police lasted for 30 tense minutes, during which the store was evacuated and they attempted to negotiate with him. In the end, he began counting down from 60 and held the knife at the little girl's throat, which is when the lead detective walked up and shot him point blank in the head. All of this was caught on camera, and it's going to take the little girl and her family a long time to recover from this ordeal.
Only after began a 60-second countdown and moved the knife from the child's stomach to her throat did Captain David Huff walk up and shoot the suspect point blank in the head.
I mean, we waited to the last second, in our opinion, to use deadly force. It's obviously a case that could be ripped from a Hollywood script, although there's grocery stores throughout the United States. It could happen anywhere. It happened in Midwest City, and I'm proud that our agency responded the way that they did.
Number 1. We started with clowns, so we're going to end with clowns. Conveniently also in Florida, but this time in Sarasota. This is Wrinkles the Clown, a frankly terrifying clown who wears black rubber gloves and carries balloons wherever he goes. And he's received local and now national fame after a horrifying video of him emerging from a drawer underneath the little girl's bed and trying to scare her, then punching down the security camera surfaced. However, Wrinkles claims a different story, that he's actually for hire and is paid by parents to freak out their misbehaving kids, and that the video was taken to show the girl and tell her that if she's ever misbehaved again, Wrinkles would come back. But quite honestly, I think that a scary clown crawling out from under your bed at night is just as traumatic as being held hostage at knife point in Walmart. And who knows if these kids will ever recover from what their parents have paid someone else to do.